following is a presentation of WLCN 96.3 FM and WLCNonline.com. This live video stream is made possible in part by WLCN's live stream technology sponsor, Me Realty, located at 602 Keokuk Street in Lincoln, and online at merealty.com. reserved,
like early on,
to be reserved. Yeah, so all is well there. And Guys and Dolls. It's not a new musical, as we were talking about.
Oh, God,
here.
no. Actually, we'll celebrate its 75th anniversary this year in November. It was a Tony Award winner in 1951 for Best Musical, and this is actually the 5th time that I have done the show myself in some capacity, and this is actually the 2nd time that LCT has had a production of the show. So it's been a while since it's been around here in this area, so I'm kind of excited to, bring it to people that haven't seen it for a while, or a whole brand new generation of kids that are like, oh, okay, that's kind of cool. That's how they lived during that time period and stuff.
Exactly. So once again, as you mentioned, it is a long-running musical, or has been around for a while. Do you have any fun little, I don't know if I'd call them Easter eggs, but any little twists? Like, for example, I know when Sherilyn Bolton was here and talking about
and Sherilyn is in it,
when she was directed A Midsummer Night's Dream, they did it in a speakeasy time setting. Do you have any little twists or anything?
We do have a few that I've kind of embedded in there. The one at the end of the show, when, not to give the show away, but when Adelaide is going to get married, I have asked that her wedding dress look similar to my mother's wedding dress when she got married in 1965.
Oh, okay.
And her wedding bouquet is going to be have flowers of poppies, roses, and daisies, and those are the names of my dogs.
Oh, okay.
So that's a little kind of cool Easter egg. And then we also have one of the guys in the show. He was in production of in high school, and I think he played Nathan, and he had a sign that said Nathan's Newsstand, and we're going to use that sign for our Nathan's Newsstand. So that's kind of cool. And then during the Sit Down, You're Rocking the Boat number, we're making a boat, and the steering wheel that we're using was I actually used it when I was in a production of Titanic at the Muni. So,
nice.
So there's some little Easter eggs embedded in there and stuff. So it'll be kind of cool.
Yeah. So it's kind of like we were talking about before we went on the air, sort of the circle of life. I don't know if you want to share that Easter egg as well. If it really is an Easter egg. Jill
Usherwood is playing Miss Adelaide, and a funny story about her is that her mom and dad played in the orchestra pit in the 78 production of Guys and Dolls
here at LCT,
and her mother was pregnant with her.
Wow.
And I guess she got kind of active when certain songs were playing, and now here she is going to be playing Miss Adelaide. So it's kind of weird that it's like from the womb she was destined to play that part.
Exactly. So does that show up on stage too? Do certain songs come up and she like starts spontaneously convulsing or anything?
Well, she does have some solo songs and stuff that she does a terrific job of singing. So
that's good.
It must be embedded in her.
There you go. So you, as you mentioned to me, that you are actually from Springfield, not from Lincoln. So how did you get connected with Lincoln Community Theater?
In 1995, I was in a production of Oklahoma. The director, I actually assisted directed him on a production of The Miracle Worker in Springfield, and it's like, come up, audition. These are great people, and kind of been here off and on ever since. I did 2 shows that summer. Last summer I was in 2 shows, so not steady, but I've got I've probably done 10 or 12 shows with LCT over the last 30 years. So
I'm guessing that's not your only trips to the stage. You've been performed with other groups.
Oh yeah, I've done stuff at Jacksonville, Springfield Theater Center, Theater in the Park in New Salem, quite a few shows out at the Muni. So just wherever they'll have me, I just kind of go that direction. So.
And so have you how long have you been on the directing side of it as opposed to performing?
Probably, let's see, the first show I directed was in 96. I started with a children's show, and then I've done all kinds of musicals and plays since then, so kind of off and on. So
okay. And do you prefer performing versus directing, or do you have a preference either way?
One, it kind of depends on the show and how much responsibility I want to give myself at the time. Because, directing the show, you have to think of all of the aspects, costumes and sets and lights and people and all those things. Whereas just being in a show, you just got to worry about yourself. Am I going to do the best that I can at this role, or is my costume going to fit me right, or is the costume too hot, or whatever. So
exactly. So once again, our guest is Derry Dalby from Lincoln Community Theater. He is directing the upcoming production of Guys and Dolls. I'll pop the information on your screen here if you're watching at home. So Thursday, July 24th is opening night, as well as performances on Friday and Saturday. Those 3 performances at 7:30 p.m. and then a Sunday matinee at 2 p.m. All shows taking place at the auditorium at Lincoln Community High School. So we have reached just about 10 after the hour, so we'll go ahead and take our first break. If you have questions, comments, anything you'd like to know about theater in general or Lincoln Community Theater, 217-648-5510, the number to call, or you can email us your questions, 4pm411 at WLCNonline.com.
Hi, I'm Smokey Bear, and I made an assistant to help you out, because only you can prevent wildfires.
Hey, Assistant Smokey Bear. Call me Papa Bear, because I'm grilling up dinner. Do you get it?
Yes, good job.
So, what should I do with all these coals?
Don't just toss them out. Put them in a metal container because those embers can start a wildfire.
I understand. The stakes are high.
Ha, 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 ha.
See, Smokey thinks I'm funny.
Whether you're buying or selling your home, the brokers of Me Realty will work with you to get the deal done. As one of Central Illinois' top producing offices for decades, Me Realty has the experience to guide you through the process. You want results? Call the brokers of Me Realty at 217-735-5424, stop by the office at 602 Keokuk Street in Lincoln, or check out local listings online at merealty.com. And we are back on the 4PM 411 here with Derry Dalby from Lincoln Community Theater. He is directing the upcoming production of Guys and Dolls, which kicks off next Thursday, a week from this Thursday. We were talking a little about a variety of topics related to theater. So in addition to your existence in theater, what do you do outside of your theater world?
Well, by day I am a 4th grade teacher at Blackhawk Elementary in Springfield.
Oh, okay.
I've been there 22 years, and I taught 1st grade for 3 years, and then I got switched to 4th grade and been there ever since. And so they'll have to carry me out of the building probably. But every day is a challenge with 9-year-olds. It's like they stay the same age and I just get older.
Yeah, it's funny how that works.
Yeah.
I don't understand that either. So did you have a background in theater like in your college days and so forth, or when did you really get active in it?
Actually, I started in high school. Our high school put on a production of Annie Get Your Gun in '85, and I auditioned for that, and I did my high school musical all 4 years, and actually my senior year was I played Arvide in Guys and Dolls, and then I've just kind of branched out into the community theater, and then one thing led to another, and they're like, oh, they need a director for this, and I'm like, well, I might try my hand at that. So
what are your like you said, when you're performing in a show, you basically have to worry about yourself and learning your lines and blocking or music or whatever. As a director, what are the biggest challenges that you seem to face on a regular basis?
One I think is just managing the people and making sure that they're showing up to rehearsal and doing what they're supposed to. And I'm one of those that I worry about everything, it seems like, and I think about everything, and I'm like, well, what if this happens, what does that happen? And so I think you have to have plans A, B, and C when you're doing something like this, with dealing with people and all kinds of emotions. And there are people in the show that have directed, and it's like, well, what would they do with the show? Or do they think I'm doing a good job?
Right.
So it's like, there's lots of things to worry about beyond just putting the show together. But actually, this has been quite a great group of people to work with. We we started rehearsals on the 28th of May, and we've been going ever since, pretty much Monday through Thursday or Friday, so on some Sundays, just to put it together. And we're actually, now that we're almost a little over 2 weeks out, we're running the show, or we're running the Act 1 or Act 2 every night. So
nice.
I am guaranteeing that this will be a great show for audiences to come see, and there are some fantastic voices in this show. Just absolutely blow people away. So
yeah, no doubt. So on the flip side of that, I asked you about your biggest challenges. What is the most rewarding aspects to you?
I think one of them is the applause at the end of the show. Most people are going to say that, but I think for me, just to see the ideas and the things that I have come up with, or I think we should try this, or those things, to see them to come to fruition on stage, that's like, oh, that actually it works. It will work for the show. So I think, to me, that's the most rewarding, is the kind of the creative side of it. Is is this going to work? Is my does my set work for the show? And then you also have to think about the confines of the theater. The way I've staged it probably wouldn't work in another theater, just because of backstage space or wing space, because the high school doesn't have a lot of backstage wing space to push on big sets. So we have actually one rolling set piece, and everything else is either stationary or it's tables and chairs and whatnot. So it's planning and being prepared.
Sure.
I think is.
Yeah, I meant to look it up before we went on the air, and it escaped my mind. But when do you recall when the auditions were for this show?
They were April the 4th and 5th.
Okay, so April, May, June, July. So
yeah,
it's not just a matter of, for those who may not be involved in theater, they might think, okay, well, a couple weeks before the show, you decide you're going to show up, learn some songs, learn some lines, and we're good to go.
And actually, I had been preparing or working on it since November, when they told me that that for me to direct the show. So thinking about everything, it's like, I think my family's probably tired of me hearing me sing the songs and stuff. It's like, shut up, we've heard that enough. So.
Yeah, and there's, again, for people who haven't been behind the scenes or been involved in a production, it's not just learning the lines or learning the music. You have to decide, when is this character going to enter? From where are they going to enter? How do they exit the stage? Are they going to be upstage?
Oh yeah, it's almost like a football plan, a play, and you got to write it all out. And okay, these people are going to come in from this side. They're going to come from this side. And then they're going to leave then, and so it's like you got to make it all work. So
yeah, and then even after the show, choreographing the bows and going to go where and when and so forth. So it's not just a matter of show up a couple weeks, learn your lines, and ta-da, we're on stage. So. You mentioned you've been involved with theater. Once again, our guest is Derry Dalby, the director for the upcoming LCT Lincoln Community Theater production of Guys and Dolls, which is July 24th through the 27th, 7:30 p.m. performances on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 2 p.m. on Sunday. Director Dalby, you mentioned that you've been involved in theater since high school. Have you got a favorite role that you've ever
I have about 3. Probably the newest one was I was the Cowardly Lion in The Wizard of Oz that LCT did 3 summers ago. Okay. And then Little Shop of Horrors. I played Seymour, both here in Lincoln and in Jacksonville. And then Charlie Brown and You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown. I've done that show 3 times, played Charlie Brown twice, and Lannis once. So those are probably my favorites, you know.
Are there any particular roles you would really like to play that you haven't had a chance yet?
I always kind of thought I'd like to play Tevye in Fiddler, but I don't know if I'm old enough, too old, you know. But, you know, that's a big show, that one. And I'm way too old now, but I always wanted to be Albert in Bye Bye Birdie. I like that one. So.
All right. So variety there.
Yeah.
Are there any particular shows that you sort of pining that, man, I'd really love to be in this, or I'd really love to direct this particular?
I have a couple. One show that I was in 1988 and is never done around anywhere is The Mystery of Edwin Drood, and it's a musical version of the Charles Dickens play or book, and he died before he finished it, and then the audience finishes the show. They vote on different characters. And then another one that I would like to kind of put my hand in or direct is a musical, and I know this sounds really dark, but it's called Lizzie, based on Lizzie Borden and the murders of her stepmother and father. Right. So it's a rock musical with 4 women, and, you know, they're dressed in Victorian era clothing, but they're, you know, got microphones, and there's a rock band and stuff. So it's dark, but, you know, I think it's kind of cool.
Yeah, absolutely. So once again, our guest is Derry Dalby with Lincoln Community Theater. If you have questions, comments, 217-648-5510, or you can email your questions or comments 4pm411 at WLCNonline.com. We are at 20 past the hour, so we'll go ahead and take our second break, and we'll be back with more with Derry Dalby about Lincoln Community Theater right after this. Whether you're buying or selling your home, the brokers of Me Realty will work with you to get the deal done. As one of Central Illinois' top producing offices for decades, Me Realty has the experience to guide you through the process. You want results? Call the brokers of Me Realty at 217-735-5424, stop by the office at 602 Keokuk Street in Lincoln, or check out local listings online at merealty.com.
Culver's is a family restaurant. To me, that means being the place that puts a smile on everyone's face. We're famous for our cooked-to-order butter burgers and frozen custard made daily inside our restaurants. But we've always believed more menu options mean more ways to brighten your day. We source the finest chicken to bring you our tenders and chicken sandwiches. And our cheese curds. They're a Wisconsin tradition we're proud to share with you. So take the next meal shift off and let us take care of you. Welcome to Delicious.
Culver's, home of the Butterburger, 2530 Woodlawn Road in Lincoln. Full Gospel Evangelistic Center makes an impact locally and beyond through a wide range of events, ministries, and outreaches. Pastors Steve and Debbie Owens invite you to worship Sunday mornings at 10:30 and attend Wednesday night Bible studies at 6:30. Connect with FGEC online, follow them on Facebook, download their app, and visit their new website at myfgec.org with live YouTube video streams as well as recordings of services and special events. Full Gospel Evangelistic Center, 304 North McLean Street in Lincoln. And we are back on the 4PM 411 here on WLCN 96.3 FM. Once again, listener lines are open, 217-648-5510. Our guest is Derry Dalby from Lincoln Community Theater. He is directing the upcoming production of Guys and Dolls, which will take place at Lincoln Community High School in the auditorium there. We talked a little bit about this, about the auditions being back in April, I think you said.
Yeah.
And then the show actually takes place later this month. So what is the process? Because you threw out some months and dates there. How do you kind of get from those April rehearsals to the July show? Because I know July, like basically the next week or so is basically Tech Week or Tech Week-ish for you, where you're doing blocking and what lights are going when and so forth. But how do you kind of ease your way into those full rehearsals and getting down toward the actual opening night?
Well, the first night of rehearsal, we just had the cast come in, passed out scripts, we read through the show, and because I'm sure it was probably new to some of the younger kids and stuff, and then from there we just break it down into small bits. We're going to do this scene and that scene because it has these people in it, and then we're going to learn this dance, and we'll put that together, maybe go back and review it, and just keep kind of adding on layers and layers of the cake, so to speak, until you get to the final process at the end with the whole show. So kind of practice in little bits and put it together in small chunks, and then melt those all together for the show.
And it's not necessarily true that you start here's Act 1, Scene 1, and you start there and you learn that, and then you go to 2, and then you go to 3. As you said, depending on who's in which scenes, you might start with something in the middle or the end.
Yeah, with the availability of the cast, and June was heavy with vacations and kids getting out of school and everything, so I had to really look at who was available these nights that I could run these scenes. And so one of the first things that we blocked was the a scene between Adelaide and Nathan, and because they have about 3 together, and we did one of those, and then the next night we did a scene between Adelaide and Sarah, and so we just, however it fit, we just kind of put it together and then go back and kind of review it and do it over again.
So it's it's not a linear process by any means. So have you shoot, I just lost my train of thought there. So as director, when did you get the call of, hey, we'd like you to direct this? And
I got the call in November. Actually, I went up on my birthday in October for an interview with the board, and then they called me the following month after, I think they had their next board meeting or whatever, and then they told me that they would like for me to direct the show, and then kind of from there it just start the planning process. And
so what do you do then from that November time when you're going to be directing up until, it's not until April when auditions are, so you don't really know what voice ranges you're going to have,
right? I mean, because it's a
physical comedian or things like that,
right? Because you never know who is going to show up at the auditions. It's like, are they going to be right for their part, or are they are they not? But for me, it was planning, gathering staff to help, getting all the personnel for the production. We have a vocal director, a choreographer, set builder, costumes, all that stuff. So you got to try to reach out to those people, or sometimes they volunteer to you that they want to do that. So it's just sort of a process of hunting and gathering, so to speak.
Yeah, and the you're obviously your main focus is what's happening on the stage, but as you said, there's lots of things like putting the programs together and making sure people turn their biographies in, and we names are spelled right, and things like that.
That they order T-shirts with the show logo on them, and all that, and gathering orchestra members, and I mean, there's a lot to do, and there's all kinds of jobs that anybody at any talent level could do. There's like, well, I don't sing or dance. Well, okay, maybe you can help push sets, or you can come paint sets, or you can help with costumes. So there's always a job that needs filled by someone in the community that doesn't necessarily have to be like, oh, I'm not a theater person. Well, you don't have to be a theater person to be able, to get involved in any production anywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. So once again, our guest has been Derry Dalby. Derry, is that a family name, or?
It kind of is. It's an Irish Gaelic name,
okay.
And if I remember this right, some of my great-grandmother's family married into the Derry family somewhere along back or something like that, and then my mom found it in a book later on, in a baby name book. So
yeah, it's I've never heard of it. So, but once again, Derry Dalby has been our guest, Lincoln Community Theater's director of Guys and Dolls, and you want to hit them with the dates and times once more, if you would.
We run July the 24th through the 27th. Thursday, Friday, Saturday at 7:30, and Sunday the 27th at 2 p.m. Tickets can be bought at the door at the Lincoln Community High School. They're $16 and $11, and you get a $1 discount if you pay in cash. So.
Okay. And $2 if you show up with the horse right here, or something like that. Yeah. So, all right. Well, thank you, Mr. Dalby, for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
We'll be back again next week. Also, tune in tomorrow morning. Dara Entwistle will have the Viewpoint program from 8 to 8:30 tomorrow morning. Her guest, I believe, is scheduled to be retiring Mount Pulaski ag teacher Ralph Allen, who I believe also won maybe a statewide award. But tune in tomorrow morning, and you can find out. That's at 8 o'clock with Dara Entwistle. Once again, our thanks to Derry Dalby for joining us from Lincoln Community Theater. And folks, if you can make it out there, be sure to see the show out at Lincoln Community High School. It's arts help make a community more vibrant, and the more support we can have, the a rising tide raises all ships. So it just makes the Lincoln a better place to be. So once again, thanks for joining us, and we'll be back with you next week. This live video stream is made possible in part by WLCN's live stream technology sponsor, Me Realty, located at 602 Keokuk Street in Lincoln, and online at merealty.com. The preceding program is a presentation of WLCN 96.3 FM and WLCNonline.com.